and welcome to XGMS. Thank you so much for joining us today. Tonight we have two very special guests, and I'm going to do a brief bio and then turn it over to the ladies. First, we have Cynthia Martinez, who is the class of 2001 Gates Millennium Scholar and current Vice President of the Gates Millennium Alumni Association. Cynthia was born in Mexico City and immigrated to the U.S. at the age of 14. She then attended and graduated from Linfield College in 2005, where she double majored in Spanish and business. She earned her master's in business administration from George Fox University in 2012. Cynthia currently works at Oregon's Health Co-op as the Web Marketing and Communications Manager. She currently serves in the George Fox University Advisory Board and is part of the original set of alum who started the Gates Millennium Scholarship Alumni Association. In addition to her current role in GMSAA, she served as the secretary and treasurer. She is an outdoor enthusiast and enjoys running half marathons on her free time. Cynthia also has a sister who is a 2003 GMS scholar and alumni. We also have with us tonight Sharon Washington. Sharon is renowned for engaging diverse audiences on the complex intersections of race, sexuality, social justice, and health disparities. She has been an educator in the field of public health for 7 years in New York City and is currently teaching faculty at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. In this capacity, Sharon has delivered lectures and interactive seminars to graduate, medical, and pre-med college students on the intersection of race, sexuality, social justice, and health disparities. She also serves as the Director of Curriculum Development and Academic Enhancement at the ISMM Center for Multicultural and Community Affairs. Sharon is a founding member and the current president of the Gates Millennium Scholarships Alumni Association. She received her Master's of Public Health from the Columbia University Mailman School of Public Health, where she presented her thesis on African-centered holistic healing for African American women survivors of childhood sexual abuse. Now I will turn it over to the ladies who will be leading us in the XGMS webinar tonight. Ladies?
Thank you so much, Grace. Okay, let's start with this webinar. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Cynthia Manuel, like Grace mentioned. We're very happy to present to you, along with my colleague here, Dr. Sharon Washington. And we're going to be talking to you about ways for you to get involved in the Alumni Association. It is, like Grace mentioned in both of our bios, this association, Sharon and I were one of the initiators, or one of the people who were part of the group who actually kicked off the Alumni Association back in 2010. And we've been able to see it develop year over year, and it's been very exciting. So we're here to share with you some of the ways that you can get involved in. So let's get ready. Okay, so before we begin, we kind of want to show you or share with you how the association is kind of broken into. When we started the association back in 2010, we had about 25 alum who came to actually get it started. The way it breaks out today, we have 25 alum, plus we are suggesting to bring on board 3 additional positions, and these positions you actually can get involved in. The first is the executive officers. The way that that's broken into is we have the president, which is Dr. Sharon Washington, vice president myself, secretary, treasurer, and executive regional advisor. I will share with you in a minute. And then we have a regional advisor. So these regional advisors, we have 14 regional advisors across the United States. We have them in different regions that I will be mentioning in a little bit later. And we also have national members. We have 3 national members who are part of the Alumni Association as well, and they help out with bigger projects, and they also help out our partner organizations, which that leads me next to the next box. The partner organizations, we have 4 different partner organizations right now, and we have 4 alums who represent each of them, and there are the UNCF, HSF, AIGCF, AIGCS, APIASF. And then lastly, we have ex-officio members, and these ex-officio members, the first one that is there in the box is the immediate past president. So we make sure that we have the immediate past president as part of the Alumni Association to provide guidance and advice and give us kind of like good tricks of what we can continue to do to move forward. They are non-voting members, so they can share and they can be part of the discussions, but they will not be able to vote. As well in there, we also make sure that we have the underrepresented party organization members, which, like I mentioned, is the UNCF, HSF, AIGCS, ABISF, to make sure that we have a very balanced structure and to make sure that there's every voice is being heard across the board. So that was kind of the original structure, and that's how we stand today. Plus, what we have been doing as we've seen our growth happen very quickly, we have been able to suggest to bring on board a treasurer. So what I mentioned to you earlier was we have the executive officers, and currently we have one person do the secretary and the treasurer work. Well, we are thinking that we want to split up these two positions because we want the secretary to really focus more on the secretarial type of work to help us move the treasurer, to make sure that we, as we're forming, bringing money in-house, to make sure that we're doing other projects across the board with alums, we want to make sure that our financials are really stable. And we have two different sets of skills needed. The other thing, the other two positions that we want to do as ex officios today are two campus-based leaders. What we start noticing with the campus-based leaders, well, let me first tell you what campus-based leaders are. Campus-based leaders are representatives of different colleges across the United States. And they form organizations in their respective colleges, and they make sure that there's a lot of involvement in those campuses from all the Gates Millennium Scholars. What we want to do is bring on board two of them to be part of our current board, to the current alumni association, so that they can be represented in there. And we can also make sure that we connect and we're working together, because eventually those current scholars will become alum as well. Okay, so that's how we form. Oops, sorry. All right. So here's our current executive board. Like I mentioned to you, we have the president, Dr. Sharon Washington, who you'll be hearing from in a little bit. Myself, which I'm the vice president. We have Denise Holman, who's our secretary treasurer today. And then we have Sarah Barnett, who is executive regional advisor. And Sarah actually manages the 14 regional advisors that I mentioned to you. All right. So to complement this big effort, we have two great GMS alum staff. And these two staff that we have, they actually help us out with a lot. They support us, by providing a lot of support in terms of making sure that we're gathering all the alums, that we're getting updated information. They help us with some programs. They help us, get that administrative type of support that we need in order for us to be able to execute on our ideas or plans and goals that we have as part of the association. So the first one is Riva Monachen, and she's been with us for 2.5 years. And Riva actually lives currently in Washington, D.C., and she has a counterpart, which is Ariel Grant. And Ariel is the GMS alumni coordinator. She's also in D.C. as well. So these lovely ladies actually help us, like I said, with all of our, our efforts, and they do a lot of work for us. So if you get to meet them, please do, because they're really great. All right. So now let's talk about the regional advisors. As I mentioned to you earlier, we have 14 regions, and the reason why we have 14 regions is because right when we were starting to look out, how can we bring alum together across the United States, we decided that we were going to break out the entire country into regions to make sure that we were able to cover all the areas. So the first region is headed by New England, and this region is composed of Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. And we have our alum, Jenny Fernandez, who's leading that. So any alums who are in that area need to contact Jenny in order to make sure that they get in touch with everything that is going on in that region itself. New York. The New York is just one state, and that is headed by George Cruz. Then we have the North Atlantic region, which is Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. And currently we're looking for an alum to help us lead that region there. Then we have the Southern region, which is composed of South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. And that is headed by Winsome Nisbet. The next one is the Mid-East region, Ohio, Tennessee, West Virginia, and Kentucky. And that is led by Kayla Stores. Following that is the Great Lakes region. That is composed of Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And that is by Moon Can. Central Mountain region is Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, North Dakota, and South Dakota. And that is led by Tyler Perisine. Then we go into the Central Southern region, and that is Nebraska, Kansas, Texas, and Oklahoma, and that's led by Dakota Thompson. Then we have the Deep South region, and that is Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi, and that is by Romisa Bernan. The next one is the Southwest region, and that is, sorry, I think I missed one, the Mountain region, and that is Idaho, Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana, and that is by Joel Bigate. The next one is the Mid-South, and that is Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and New Mexico, and that is by Monan Davi. The next one is the Pacific Northwest region, and that is composed of Northern California, Oregon, Washington, and Alaska, and that is led by Javier Arevalo. The next one is the Pacific Southwest region, and that is Southern California and Hawaii, and that is Chris Garcia. And lastly but not least, we have the Mid-Atlantic region, and that is the District of Columbia, Virginia, Maryland, and the alumni living outside the United States. So these positions, any alum who wants to get involved within the region, again, they need to contact the regional advisors. And there are opportunities for you to get involved as well. If you, the regional advisors kind of rotate every 2 years. So if you have any interest in becoming one regional advisor for your area, we're more than happy to, to hear you, and more than happy for you to reach out to us. There's actually a process for you to apply if you want to become a regional advisor, and you can reach out to us to ask what the process looks like. Okay. Now we're going to be talking about the partner organizations. So we have 4 partner organizations, like I mentioned. We have UNCF, which today is being headed by Terry Allen. We have the APIASF, and that is Aruna Tour. Then we have AIGS, and that's Heather Kim Seller. And then for HSF, we have Monica Moya. So these 4 alums really help us connect with the partner organizations that are part of the GMS scholarship. And they're working together. They work together with each of the different organizations and make sure to bring ideas, information back to the council, so then we can make sure that we're evaluating that as we're moving forward on our planning, with our goals, and also our task groups. For the national members, we have 3 national members, and that is Crystal Brumfield, Ernesto Villaseñor, and Xavier Williams. And they really help us, they kind of really make sure that they work together with the partner liaisons to some degree to provide support, but they also work with us, with the council, to make sure that they're involved in bigger efforts. They're more like a broader, their perspective has to be broader, and they really can get engaged in different big efforts with us. All right. So the next is very excited to let you know we have a new website, and this website actually got launched in May of this year. Many of you probably have, experience in the past, depending on how long you've been an alum for by now. But we have had a series of websites that, some of them have very complicated passwords that were given to you. Some of them you created your own, but they were different URLs, and it was just very confusing to our alumni community. So along with GMS, we put a big effort, and we were able to put actually a website that is only alum, and it's also a form of an online community, so we can keep in touch and we can keep communicated. Because even though we live in a world of social media, not everybody, every alum is part of Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. So with this one, we provided an outlet for everybody to be able to have the same information at the same time. We have the link here for the website is www.gmsalumni.org. So if you go in there, you'll be able, and I highly encourage you for you to take advantage of this. Go in there, you're going to be able to reach out to different regions through there. Every single regional advisor has a page that you can actually go into and see what activities they're conducting, who's part of the region, how you can connect with other people there. There's also, if we're posting jobs, some alums are sharing jobs, whether they're hiring or if they're here about something really neat, they post it on a blog or on their pages there. You can also learn about the different, the different leadership positions available within the Alumni Council, and you can communicate against each other. You can post blogs. You can, you can basically follow. Either you can follow individuals, you can follow different trends on different types of topics that we're discussing continuously. So again, it's a very great way for you to connect and stay involved. And anything that GMS or the Alumni Association does will get posted in there. So again, you don't want to miss out on any of the great events that are coming up. Okay. Okay. Next, so here's kind of like a summary of the different ways that you can get involved. And Sharon is going to provide a little bit additional information following this slide, so stay tuned. For the Alumni Council, like I mentioned to you, we have the 25 positions and 26 positions now with the treasurer being added to it. And then we have 2 ex officio positions, which are going to be the campus-based leaders that are going to be able to participate but not vote. And we try to do a call out for alums every year for them, to fill the positions. Like I mentioned, we have rotation of people coming in and out every year, so you do have an opportunity to apply. And we're going to be putting, stay tuned. We're going to be putting it on online community as well as all of our social media outlets when the applications are going to be sent out for you to be able to run for one if you want to. The next one is the task groups. So as part of the Alumni Council, we work really close and we set goals every year or every 2 years to the things that we want to accomplish together. And out of those goals, we create task groups. And the task groups are really put together based on the needs and what we want to accomplish that year. So they can change. We can create new ones. We can delete some others to make sure that we're consistent and making sure that we're involving people and alums as necessary to make sure that we reach our goals. Sharon Washington is going to be speaking a little bit more into what task groups we currently have, and we welcome alum to participate in them. So that's another way for you to be engaged. Let's say that you don't want to be committed to an Alumni Council position, but you definitely feel that you might have some great skills or good feedback or experiences that you can share with us via the task groups. We're always looking forward to bringing more alum on board. The next one is the local networking and events and chapter development. So we've been very pleased that we actually started creating local chapters across the country. And we have a process, which Sharon is going to speak a little bit to it, as to if you want to start your local chapter, what that looks like. But also, it's been very great being able to see how these organizations are forming and they're actually leading their individual efforts. So that's another way for you to get involved and meet other alums and stay connected with us. The next one is the online community, like I just talked to you a little bit about. So again, I highly, highly encourage you to go in there and connect with us and ask questions, stay in tune, and make sure that you're on top of kind of what's going on. Then we have special interest groups. And the special interest groups are groups that got formed to really be able to kind of cater the needs of some of the alums who are saying, hey, we actually don't have a task group addressing specific areas of interest such public health. Can we form one? So that's another thing. It's been another great way to involve alum, and we currently have 5 different specialty groups, and those are the public health. We have scholars on the Hill, which are scholars who are interested in law, government, policy, and working on the Hill. We also have one for education. We have one for LGBT that is just starting to form right now, and it's very exciting. And then we have one for the arts. So if you're an alum and you're like, hey, I'm in this area and I think it'll be great to have an interest group, a special interest group, you can reach out to us, and then we can start figuring out if that is something that we have received a lot of requests from other alums, and then we can get it going. And then the other one is the Alumni Award. So as one of the initiatives that we had on the Alumni Association was that we wanted to recognize other alum that were making a big difference in their community. And even though, we have, and every alum that we have come across has been very great and they're very involved in the community, I don't think it's very often that we realize all this great, incredible work that is going around. So that's why we put together the Alumni Awards. We kicked them off last year, and we actually put together a list of different awards and open up nominations where we had either individuals or organizations nominate alums that should be considered for the awards. And so we were very happy to present about 5 different awards last year, and that was very exciting. Getting to learn what this amazing alum are doing is just incredible. Then this is the second year that we're actually hosting the awards, and we continue to, every year it seems like we're just increasing in the number of applications and learning about the different types of work that these individuals are doing. And actually, because of that, sometimes we're able to reach out other alums and ask them to do webinars on specific topics, or ask them to be a speaker for a specific event that we're hosting. So not only is it making sure that we're recognizing the alum work across the board, but it's also connecting us and making sure that we are providing that knowledge and that expertise out to the rest of the alumni community. The GMS Ambassador. So GMS ambassadors are actually, we try to make sure that we promote this as much as we can, because, just as scholars who, love to talk about the scholarship and go out and do all this outreach type of work to schools or to individuals who are getting ready to apply for college and for the scholarship, we also want to make sure that our alum are aware that they can also do that themselves. Like, for example, I've been doing the GMS ambassador work since 2006, where I actually go out to the different high schools and do presentations, and we actually have a process and where you can submit your request that you're going to be doing an event, and and GMS will be sending you material for you to be able to share with the individuals that you're doing the presentation to. So it's really great. The next one is the mentoring program. The mentoring program also is very great because it connects you as an alum. That's another opportunity that you have to either connect with other alum or scholars. And there are a lot of the scholars, that have a lot of questions about grad school or even just in their own area that they're studying. And it's really great to be able to connect all the alums, because we know that we have a lot of alums out there who are very specific in math sciences or education or public policy, law, business, and we just want to make sure that we continue that connection consistently. So great, if you can sign up, that would be fantastic. Then we have the leadership conferences. As alums, you have the opportunity to participate in leadership conferences. Many of you, as scholars, had the opportunity to either go to the East Coast Conference or the West Coast Conference, and for the most part, we have heard that a lot of scholars had a great time and fantastic memories from it. Well, as an alum, you have the ability to actually go back and volunteer to either lead some of the workshops that are being presented during the conference, while connect with scholars, or also you can volunteer just to help run the conference, because it's a lot of help that is needed all the time. And next year will be the last year we'll have conferences, because it's the last. This is going to be the last class that is going to be selected for GMS. But if you have any questions, we actually put it out in the online community, and we put the requests for for alums who want to be involved. So make sure that you stay tuned. And then lastly, we have the American Cancer Society Partnership. That is a partnership that we actually started last year, and it's been really great working with ACS and bringing awareness of cancer to underrepresented communities. So we've been leading an effort across the country where we have involved current scholars as well as alum. And I'm going to let Sharon talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But just in a nutshell, those are the different ways that you can get involved in the Alumni Association. And like I said, you can always reach to us during in the online community and bring ideas. We're happy to hear them. So I'm going to pass it on to you now, Dr. Sharon Washington, who's going to continue the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And so, in addition to this past year and a half that we've been partnering with the American Cancer Society, in which many alumni and current scholars across the country have participated in activities on a local level and state level, and also done things like lobbying to reflect our passion for addressing and attempting to eliminate cancer on a national level. Activities that people have been able to participate through this partnership include being of service at Hope Lodges in their local areas, helping to raise money for cancer research through Relay for Life, and also National Lobbying Day, to be able to connect with politicians and policymakers to be able to emphasize the need for resources to be allocated to research and the necessary opportunities to engage with working to eliminate cancer. So that's something we've been very excited to be able to contribute to over the past year and a half. But we are currently beginning a search for identifying our next national partner. And so there is an opportunity to be involved in that dialogue by working to identify potential partners that we as an organization can collaborate with. And we would like to identify a national organization that has the capacity to engage with a volunteer body that, while we are large, about 15,000 members strong, there is a variety of levels of activity that we may be able to engage in. So some people are able to contribute in person on local levels with in-person activities. Other folks may be better served at sort of one-time opportunities to serve. Others may be best equipped to help with fundraising. So in thinking about types of initiatives and programs whose missions are aligned with the values and interests, experience, and mission of our organization, we are looking for alumni to nominate and also serve in a task group to help spearhead the formation of our next national partner. We will continue to collaborate with the American Cancer Society and maintain a collaborative interest in addressing increasing awareness regarding cancer. They have been so generous as to offer internships and even job opportunities to GMS alumni. So if that is a passion of yours, that is still an area that will continue to be available to be engaged, but we would like to be able to move forward with expanding our experience in partnering with other organizations in order to provide meaningful opportunities for service. Another really valuable and engaging and enriching opportunity to serve that has only in the last year, year and a half, really emerged structurally in our fairly new organization is that of the creation of local chapters. And so if you are in an area, I mean, as you noticed, some regions are sort of spearheaded by a regional advisor whose geographic region may include multiple states or states with very large numeric sort of populations of alumni. And so it's unreasonable that a regional advisor alone can stimulate meaningful engagement for spaces that large and populations so large. So what we're looking for in the future is that the majority of alumni activity will happen on a local level. And so how we are able to do that is that where there are alumni that have groups as small as 5 alumni and larger are able to come together, and we have templates for group formation, things like bylaws, chapter affiliation agreements, and so we can guide groups of alumni through the process of supporting them in forming their own local chapter. Local could mean city-based. In a city as large as New York City, local could also mean based on boroughs or districts or areas, depending on how your state and city sort of labels or identifies smaller geographic regions within an area. We also are seeing some statewide chapters begin to emerge. So it really depends on every area. This country is quite diverse in so many ways, and so in some areas it may work best to collaborate across a state. In other areas, smaller collaborative efforts can happen within a city or even in boroughs or districts. And so there are chapters emerging across the country. New York has had a fairly long existing chapter. San Francisco is newly emerging, same as the DC, Baltimore, and Atlanta areas. And so we're very excited to see that continue, especially in some of the larger cities where we know that there are larger bodies of alumni present. So potential chapters may include places like Chicago, Houston, Oklahoma City, Boston, San Diego. I mean, and wherever you are, if you know that you are in some kind of proximal vicinity to other alumni who would like to be engaged, that is a really strong way to begin to bring alumni activity, engagement, service, and professional and leadership development to where you are. So that's something that we're really encouraging and looking forward to continue to grow across the country. And so the ways in which that can happen, if you are in an area, whether it's through being in grad school and you know a few other people who are also Gates alum, or if you are in a city that you know should be large enough to have an alumni population and you want to get connected, the ways in which you can do that are to first contact your regional advisor. Wherever you are, even if your regional advisor is not in your state, they are still the liaison between the local level and the advisory council. So you can contact your regional advisor through the online community. All of the RAs have a profile and can be contacted and connected with through that. You then can work with them to identify at least 5 interested alumni. Sometimes what happens is that people, through the communications that RAs send out, via email listservs, social media, and other mechanisms, people will reach out and say that they're interested, or they may respond. And so sometimes RAs have contacts with alumni across the various states that they represent, and so they may be able to directly connect you or work with you to identify strategies for engaging with other alumni who may be near you. Next, you would host a meeting to bring those people together. Depending on the geographic capacity of that meeting, if you wanted to, for example, a chapter in Washington State is currently being developed and cultivated, and so it may be the case that their initial meeting could be a Google Hangout like this, but oftentimes they have been in person because most of the formed chapters are a bit more local than a state level. So once people are all together, they can talk about common goals, common interests, potential areas of service, potential leadership structures, and things like that. And so through that, each group would identify a primary contact person, a meeting schedule, and so forth. Further, the group can then fill out the kinds of documents that allow for the chapter to be recognized, to be formalized, and thereby to be able to be supported by GMS and by the council. And then begin to organize activities and implement activities and utilize the regional advisor as I mentioned, as the liaison between their activities, their interests, and the interests and visions and priorities of the council. In addition, if there are any challenges with that initial step of contacting the regional advisor, we are fortunate to have Reba Monachin and Ariel Grant as supportive staff people who can help not only with assisting in the forward movement and gaining momentum, but also for marketing, for reaching out to alumni in your region, and so they are also a resource that we are able to utilize as well. And so, as Cynthia mentioned, there are a series of current priorities that the council is working towards, and that through local chapters we're able to expand the impact of these priorities on a local level. And so we emphasize and develop the work of these priorities through what we call task groups. And so task groups may be, they're task oriented, and so some of them reach a certain level of completion and then we can move on and have other task groups, or they may be ongoing activities that we are utilizing a certain amount of time to be able to coordinate, and then they will become part of the ongoing programming of the organization. So our current priorities are 5, I think, broad and long-term, while also simultaneously immediately necessary initiatives. The first being to engage in entrepreneurial development. And so we know that as coming from low-income backgrounds and marginalized communities, that one of the really fundamental necessary steps that we need to take in being leaders for America's future, leaders for our families and our communities, is the accumulation of wealth. And one aspect of creating a structure for cultivating wealth is the work that we oftentimes find ourselves doing through jobs, but also through expanding our ability to be creative, to be innovative, and to be able to produce solutions to challenges in our communities, to create interesting and innovative technologies and resources for the world to engage with, and that happens through entrepreneurship. In fact, the reality that we are fortunate and blessed to have this scholarship through the entrepreneurial success of Bill Gates and his family's support is something that we want to model. So supporting alumni in expanding entrepreneurial thoughts and ideas, becoming skilled and equipped to be able to pursue entrepreneurial endeavors, and financial planning and management that's necessary to allow for that to be successful are all aspects of what this task group is working to cultivate as far as programming, raising awareness, and creating mechanisms of support for alumni. That could also include in the future being able to access philanthropic resources to invest in the entrepreneurial ideas, projects, organizations, and companies of GMS alumni. And I think one last important aspect of that is that through entrepreneurship, we are then able to hire our families, our community members, our peers who, because of the unfortunate continual reality of hiring discrimination and other factors, it is people like us who find ourselves underemployed or underpaid for our skills and knowledge and service. So that's something that we look to empower our communities through. The second being launching partnerships for internships and jobs. So not only have alumni been researching job opportunities and posting them in the opportunities page of the online community, but we are also working to form partnerships with corporations, organizations, even including the American Cancer Society, as I mentioned, to prioritize the hiring and promotion of GMS alumni, such that ACS, as an example, has added to their job applications a question inquiring about if an applicant is a GMS alumni. And so we want to create a network of companies and agencies that are recognizing the power, the expertise, and the strong knowledge base that we have been gifted to acquire, and ensuring that there are pathways for GMS scholars to obtain internships, to equip them to be professionally skilled, to then transition into alumni status, and for there to be jobs ready for us to be able to not only access, but to have the capacity to reach all levels of leadership within the companies and agencies that really need our diversity of perspective and of experience. Third, we are working to prepare alumni for politics and civic engagement. So obviously we are in an election time. Next year in particular is going to be a very important time that we help to make sure that people are not only registered to vote, but given the broad diversity of our cultures, our languages that we represent, that we can and should help to ensure that the people of our communities are in tune with and aware of and able to articulate the political issues that are being discussed, able to break down what can be rhetoric and sort of compromising to the ability of our community members to be able to fully participate in the civic process, the political process. In addition to that, we also want to create pipelines for opportunities for mentorship to help alumni gain access into political careers. To be leaders for America's future also requires that we be policymakers, that we be the shapers of what becomes law, what becomes the governance of our increasingly diverse nation and our increasingly interconnected world. And so we want to help ensure that alumni are equipped to pursue career opportunities in politics from a local, state, to a national level. And so those are some of the priorities for that task group. We also are engaging in the My Brother's Keeper initiative, recognizing that even among GMS scholars that the applicant pool disproportionately underrepresents males of color. And so we want to work with this White House initiative to ensure that we are supporting our brothers in pursuing education, in removing the obstacles that exist as barriers that prevent higher education as an option for our men. And so we are working to create opportunities for GMS alumni to be engaged in supporting the My Brother's Keeper initiative. And then lastly, to support graduate studies, and in part that is helping GMS alumni to be thoroughly clear about what programs are funded, helping to compile resources to pursue those areas that are not funded, and also to address the necessity for social and cultural support as we pursue graduate studies and tend to find ourselves even more underrepresented in the academic setting and academic discourse than perhaps we did in an undergraduate level. And so having space for mental health support, cultural support, and dialogue to make sure that we're able to be successful at thoroughly mastering all levels of higher education, because we have this gift that allows a number of really important fields to be funded. And so for each of these task groups, there is a current chair. I'd like to emphasize that for many of them, we would actually like to have a co-chair who is not necessarily a member of the advisory council. So if you are interested in any of those task groups, these initiatives, you have ideas about how we can move these forward, I strongly encourage you to access through the online community or by contacting Reba to get connected to the task group chair and involving yourself in helping us to move these initiatives forward. Obviously, there are some very initial next steps as far as programming, creating educational materials, doing some research that needs to be done. But then there's obviously long-term visions that can run the scope of the next 10, 15, 20 years of producing transformative opportunities for us as alumni, but also for our communities. So through these task groups, I really encourage people to take the opportunity to do something as minimal as a task, whether that be researching resources and compiling a fact sheet, or something as expansive as joining the task group and even being a co-chair. So there's lots of room and opportunity for engagement through these task groups. In addition, there are some ad hoc task groups that are being continued from previous years that are also in need of alumni support and engagement. And so one of those being an online webinar series. And so, excuse me, the alumni are working with GMS staff to continue to provide webinars like this one, but also that can provide professional development, that can allow for alumni to present on topics that they are interested in, topics that may help other alumni be able to move forward on their interests, professional development, academic trajectories, and so forth. And so whether you are interested in contributing to a webinar by facilitating or serving on some kind of panel around a topic that you're passionate about, or if you're interested in potentially contributing to the cultivation of this alumni-led webinar series, and the structure that needs to be put in place so that people can easily sign up to lead a webinar, whether that look like an online calendar that's interactive in the online community. We are actually looking for a co-chair to serve in the coordination and continued development of an alumni-led webinar series. There's also the My GMS Legacy Initiative, and so that is an initiative in which we have been capturing GMS alumni stories, because oftentimes how people understand this scholarship program is defined by other people. It's labeled as the scholarship for low-income students. It's labeled as a scholarship for minorities. But there hasn't been as much platform for us to define for ourselves what GMS has been for us as individuals, as a collective, and on behalf of our family and even neighborhoods and communities that have changed over the course of the last 15 years as this scholarship has really transformed our lives and communities. And so we are capturing alumni stories regarding what the scholarship has meant to us, as well as what is the legacy that we are able to cultivate as a result of our receiving the scholarship. And so with that, we are looking to have people who want to help to lead that initiative, to help gather those stories. Initially, it had been something that we were gaining footage from sort of a professional level quality of videography, but it is also something that maybe in order to reach a broader audience, we can have people submit videos through their smartphones or some other kind of mechanism. But there's a lot of room for creativity, for ideas, and for leadership in moving that one forward. And then lastly, with the GMS Alumni Awards, so each year, as Cynthia mentioned, we are recognizing alumni for extraordinary service, leadership, representation, and even organizations that are enhancing the mission of the GMS alumni. And so whether that be nominating alumni for that award, that is a way in which we can help to continue to cultivate a community that is pushing ourselves and pushing each other to be as active and contributive towards the needs and the needs of our communities and the cultivation of ourselves as leaders for these communities. And so with that, those I would say are the more primary ways in which alumni can be engaged, can be involved, can step up into leadership roles, can make their way into participating in the Alumni Advisory Council. And so if you have any questions, if you'd like to access the task groups, the task group chairs, the regional advisors, you can do so through gmsalumni.org. If you have not already logged on to the online community, I strongly encourage that you do. You create a profile, and you can access, as we mentioned, job and internship and fellowship opportunities through that as well, in addition to engaging in dialogue with alumni across the country. And then also, if you have direct questions about anything else, if you'd like to get involved, get connected, you can email alumni@gmsp.org, and you will certainly get a response either from GMS staff and or one of the leaders that are relevant and pertinent to whatever it is that you're seeking.
Thank you so much, Sharon and Cynthia. We have a few questions that we're going to just shoot off to you. The first one is, are undergraduate scholars allowed to get involved with the alumni chapters in the different regions?
So undergraduate scholars, there are a couple of ways in which there is direct overlap with alumni engagement. One being that as current scholars are engaged in campus-based organizations, they certainly can, and we encourage them to invite alumni to attend those events, to cultivate mentorship opportunities, to help scholars to prepare themselves for whatever graduate studies may entail or professional life, and the different areas that these alumni are able to contribute to those on-campus dialogues. Also through our ACS initiative, we've had many undergraduate scholars participate in activities through Hope Lodges and Relay for Life, and so that has been a great way that undergraduate scholars have been contributing to the direction and the movement of the Alumni Association. And then now with these 2 leadership opportunities through the campus-based leader positions, the current scholar representative positions that are ex officio positions on the advisory council, those are 2 additional ways in which the voices of undergraduate scholars are present in the decision making, the thought and envisioning for future programming and activities of the Alumni Association is through those 2 positions as well.
Absolutely.
Cynthia, did you want to add anything?
No. I was just going to say the last part that Sharon did, so she did great.
Okay, great. Our next question, and let me make sure that I'm reading this correctly. The question is, why does the North Atlantic include all of New Jersey? Wouldn't it seem more reasonable to divide New Jersey into North Jersey and South Jersey? And I believe this is in reference to the regional chapters.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll take that one. So when we originally started the Alumni Association, actually GMS provided the division of the chapters, or I guess of the different regions. So we didn't really have much say as to how they broke it into. And one of the reasons when we asked as to why certain states were in certain regions was they said it was really because they were looking at how many alum were in those areas, and they were just trying to balance them out. So that's how they, some of those chapters, some of the states ended up on those chapters. But it doesn't mean that we can look at it in the future, right? So if we start seeing a lot more involvement from alum in that area, then just like New York is just one chapter by itself, one regional chapter. So again, we can take a look at it and analyze it in the future.
Okay, that's actually a perfect segue into the next question, which is how many alumni are there? So the question says the program's been around since 1990 or so. So is it 12,000 approximately? And then also how many active alumni do we have?
So everyone who graduates with a bachelor's degree is an alumni, regardless of if they are still funded through a graduate program. And so in that first cohort of scholars, I believe in 2000, there was about 5,000. Mm-hmm. And then since then, there has been 1,000 every year since. And so there's roughly about 15,000 current alumni who have a bachelor's degree, who does not include all of the current scholars who are pursuing their bachelor's degree right now, freshmen through 4th and 5th year seniors. So the rough number is about 15,000 alumni. Active is an interesting and difficult question to answer. Active can mean having been involved in any kind of in-person activities. That could mean being registered on the online community. It could be having joined any of the many social media platforms where alumni activity is involved. So it's kind of difficult for us to be able to measure activity right now, because there are so many ways in which alumni can be engaged in dialogue. They may be registered through the ambassador program or through the mentoring program. They may be mentoring scholars but not registered through the mentoring platform online. And so that's part of what the necessity and the drive for developing local chapters and engaging in local activities is going to help us to be able to do, is bring representation and bring engagement to a local level to make it more tangible and accessible for alumni to be engaged in enhancing the mission and direction of the organization, and allow for local chapter leaders to be able to capture that engagement. So it's difficult to say right now because we have so many different platforms for people to be engaged in. I mean, you could count the number of people connected to the LinkedIn page, to the GMSA Instagram. You know, I mean, but as we sort of tighten up ship, essentially, and as we get people to be present and engaged in the online community, those numbers will be able to more accurately reflect who is being involved and who is being engaged.
Right, and the other thing I'm just going to add really quick is that's why we are pushing so hard on the online community, because a lot of our alums didn't provide their updated contact information. So even though we know that there are alums out there, we just don't have their the current either email or phone number or address. So it's very difficult for us to connect with them. So that's why by having the local chapters, like Sharon mentioned, we can then reach out to those who, you know, kind of just fell off the face of the earth. But so yeah, so if you guys, again, we strongly advise you to go to the online community, because in that way at least we know that you're there and we can reach out to you.
And can you ladies speak a little bit more about the online community, like maybe what's the purpose of it and some of the benefits of being a part of it versus being linked to GMSAA on LinkedIn or the Instagram page?
Yeah, so you want me to take that, Sharon, or you want to? Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So one of the main purposes of having the online community, again, like I mentioned earlier, is because there's so many social media outlets out there. And not everybody's on the same page. Not everybody knows that we have a LinkedIn page. Not everybody knows we have a Facebook page. Not everybody knows we have Twitter. And with the online community, we actually are able to do a lot more than just communicating with the alums one direction. They can communicate with us internally. Again, they can do forums. They can find about job postings. They can go to the individual chapters so that they can learn about different events that are going on. But then, you know, even though they're going to even if they go to the local chapters, they can still know what's going on with the entire organization. So they don't get segregated just on their own region. They can also participate in a lot more efforts. And that's why it's kind of hard sometimes, because we, you know, some of us really love Facebook and we just don't get off Facebook, and we just hope that all these activities were there. But again, there's specific social medias kind of limit you as to how much you can do. And by providing the online community, we're really trying to kind of set the foundation of this is going to be the hub of information center where you can go to and you will learn and know, you know, and be up to date as to what's going on with the Alumni Council.
Sharon, did you want to jump in and add anything?
Yeah, I would also say that there are, you know, we have these priorities, we have a vision for ourselves and our ability to have a lasting impact on our communities and on society. And so there has to be a space and a platform for us to do that work and engage in critical thinking and you know, assessment about what's going on in our communities and our society. That has to take place somewhere. And I think that there is something that is inherently very valuable about us fostering a sense of connectedness. I know that many of us who have experienced our own freshman leadership conference, or even more so, have come back as a mentor, as an alumni, to subsequent freshman leadership conferences, or any other, whether it be alternative spring break or the conferences that GMS sponsors for us to attend. But whenever we come together, there is something very enriching and exciting, exhilarating, and energizing about reconnecting with this spirit of being GMS alumni, being inspired by what each other is doing. And in particular, now that we have an association, taking all of that and channeling that power towards some very strategic and specific goals and initiatives so that we can collectively have an impact that is bigger and broader than any one individual. And so there has to be a space for that, and that is what this online community is designed to cultivate. It's unfortunate because many of us have probably somewhere around a handful of other online platforms that we engage with, and so it can feel like another thing to take time to go and be present in. But if you keep in mind, how much of whatever it is that you are doing, how it is that this organization or how the scholarship program itself has cultivated our ability to be where we are and to experience what we have, that this is a space where we can collaboratively work towards turning that into who it is that we want to be collectively for the future and the impact that we want to be able to make. So I think that for the broader purpose of being able to really fulfill our mission as leaders for America's future, that this is the home for that. And so that's why we need people to be present and to be active and engaged so that we can do that work together.
Thank you. The next question is, how do you get involved with the alumni stories?
Oh.
So
okay.
the GMSA Legacy Project, that is something that you can connect with through the email address that was provided at the end of the slides, alumni@gmsp.org. You can email and express interest in that through there, or through the online community. There is a space within the platform for being able to connect with that initiative. And so, again, it also depends on your interest. If you're interested in telling your story or making a video, or that particular group is also in need of collaborative leadership. And so if you would be interested in helping to move that initiative forward, there is capacity for that as well.
And then the other thing, too, we also have kind of like a campaign going on to promote high school seniors to apply for the scholarship. So that's another way that you can actually do a video, and I think that we're saying like 1 to 2 minutes, kind of tell your story of why you applied, and you can, we have a hashtag, and you can put it on Facebook, on Twitter, or any other platform that you currently use to promote the scholarship. At the same time, you're kind of sharing your story as well.
And what's the hashtag, Cynthia?
The hashtag is I can't remember, to be honest. So we'll provide it. We'll provide it.
Yeah, we'll post it now. If anyone has a question,
just thought of this. Yeah.
Okay, and our last question for the evening is, what is the process to become a part of the Alumni Association?
So there's contacting your regional advisor and just expressing interest in being engaged on a local or regional level. There is, as the opportunities for open positions on the advisory council emerge, if you, upon self-reflection, have time for a certain higher level of engagement and want to be present for helping to move forward the priorities, help to cultivate vision for our future as an organization, there is that level of engagement. If you would like to contribute to our current national partnership with the ACS initiative, you can sign up for Relay for Life opportunities. There is a very active Facebook page for our national partnership with ACS that you can stay very much up to date on how to be involved with that. There's also Hope Lodges in your local area, and even through the ACS website you can register through GMSA to identify volunteer opportunities that you'd like to take advantage of for that partnership. If you're interested in starting a special interest group that's very specific to an area that you're passionate about or your particular career path, then that is something that you can stimulate as well. So there's, as many of the areas that we've talked about, if you want to get started on any of those, if you want to get engaged, or if you just want to see which of those are active on a local level, you can either email the alumni@gmsp.org, or you can go to the online community, and the tabs are quite clear for how to access, which communities or sub-communities of our association are active, and you can get very much connected through that.
Thank you so much for that. Can you give that email address just one more time, just so that everyone has it and it's clear?
It's alumni@gmsp.org.
Thank you so much. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us for Ask GMS tonight and answering our questions and providing so much information about GMSAA and how our amazing alumni can get more involved in all the amazing projects and tasks that you have going on. If you want to close us out with any last-minute remarks, that'd be great.
I'll go first, and then I'll let Sharon close with a golden bow. We're just so excited to be able to talk to all of you, and I hope that we can see new faces. We're looking forward to bring new alums, new perspectives, new ideas, and new passion, new heart. So connect with us, and we hope to see you soon.
Yes, and I would just say that we have such a gifted and powerful capacity for transformation as a group of individuals. And so we are only able to fully embody that capacity with the presence of our members. And so I hope that in whatever way you can incorporate some time to contribute to the forward momentum of this body of alumni who share in a particular gifted experience, a passion for service, a natural dedication to leadership, that you will do that, whether it's by providing just a certain amount of time to fulfill a task or leading any of these initiatives or serving in a leadership capacity on the council or in your local or regional area. We really need all of us, and in a broader perspective, our communities and our country need us to really do all that we can to be who it is that we are designed to be. So we look forward to your engagement, and we are excited to work with you and to bring our community and our family together, our GMS family.
Cynthia and Sharon, thank you so much for joining us tonight at Ask GMS. And GMS community, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you ladies taking time out to give us that great wisdom. And if anyone has any questions, reach out to alumni@gmsp.org. And Cynthia or Sharon or a member of our alumni team will be more than happy to assist you in any way. Everyone have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.